Coaches and assistant coaches met with the media today, and I'm going to give you as much as I can find that they talked about. What is up, Finn fans? Yes, good amount of I think all of the assistant and DC and OC met with the media today. I scoured through the internet trying to find quotes, it wasn't like it wasn't on their YouTube channel. It was like, I understand it's not like legit. I don't know. I had to read articles and try to give you guys quotes about what they said, and we're going to talk about that. It was way harder than it should have been to try to see, hear, whatever these coaches said. But yeah, I'm going to talk about that. But before we jump into that real quick, I got to shout out a new patron, and Kyle Burks. Thank you so much for joining, brother. And a new member, and Jeffrey Frogue. Thank you so much, brother, for joining and being a member. If you want to be a member, hit the join button next to the subscribe button. If you want to be a patron, it is linked in the description. So, yeah, you're going to get special perks with one or the other. But yeah, thank you so much for joining. And I'm going to jump to past Doug for him to talk about who is sponsoring this video. If you don't know about manscaped.com, they are fantastic products that include Lawnmower 4.0 and other great products for the man hygiene. Women can use it as well. But they sent me the Perfect Package 4.0, which comes with, again, the Lawnmower 4.0. It's their newer version of it, hence 4.0. Waterproof, has a light on it. Great for your skin, doesn't nick you. Use it on my face all the time. I shape myself up, which I need to do recently, but you could use it anywhere on your body that hair is. They sent that to me. They also sent me the Crop Preserver, and they sent me the Crop Reviver in this Perfect Package 4.0. If you use the promo code DDW20, you're going to get yourself 20% off. You're going to get yourself some free shipping, and you're also going to get yourself 2 gifts with this. So go over to manscaped.com, use the promo code DDW20, and get yourself the Perfect Package 4.0. And thank you so much for sponsoring this video. So we're going to jump into this. I'm going to start with the defensive coordinator because there's some spicy things with the defensive coordinator and Boyer. So essentially, he said that he called the plays. And so many different things we're going to hear about with Gerald Alexander, and Brian. He said he called the plays. So I hope they press him on it in this article I found. But yeah, he came out and he said he called the plays. He says, I feel very fortunate for the opportunity to be here. Some were very surprised that they were retained. He was one of them. Very excited to work with Mike. Him and I have had many conversations. Very excited about the stuff we will put together. They said Boyer declined to give specific reason for Gerald Alexander's dismissal as defensive backs coach, but said that the reshaped defensive backfield staff of Steve Gregory, Sam Madison, and defensive assistant Patrick Surtain fit what he and McDaniel were looking for. He says, asked if he simply disagreed philosophically with Alexander, Boyer said, you'd have to ask him that. The most important thing on the staff was cohesion. Once we make decisions in meeting and during games, we're going to live with that and to make sure once we make those decisions, we're all on the same page. Steve played for us in New England. He's a quarterback. He quarterbacked this system as a player on the field. He has some coaching experience. We had him here this year. I think he's talking about the other coach, I think defensive line coach that we kept. He talks about Sam Madison. Sam, I admired from afar with the work he's done in Kansas City, some of the things we can do with our secondary. I thought he'd be a good teacher. I thought that it was an easy fit. Then they asked him, how will his defense change without Flores around? He said, we spent 13 years together in New England coming up through the same system. Flo worked on special teams and offense. We had a little bit of different perspective. He played linebacker, coached linebackers. I always been on the back end. I see things from the back end. I see the game a little bit different than what we were doing for 13 years. So essentially what he's saying is that Brian Flores was more of a linebacker guy, whereas Boyer, was the secondaries guy, was a corner guy, so he saw everything from the back. He saw it from a different perspective. Boyer said this defense, while continuing to be aggressive and giving teams a variety of different looks, is going to be different in 2022 than it was in 2021. There will be definitely some carryover, and we're expecting some guys to make big jumps, especially guys going from year 1 to year 2. Asked what led to the rapid improvement beginning with the Thursday night Baltimore game, Boyer cited a little bit of scheme change, a little bit of a different approach, a little bit different execution. Regarding play calling issues, Boyer gave a lengthy explanation while making clear that Flores contributed to the game plan, but that Boyer was making the defensive calls before plays. So he said, this was the same in New England and Miami, Boyer said. What you do as a staff, and this is why you have staffs, you come together with a game plan. A lot of games have input. A lot of guys have input on that. It's not like they're one mastermind sitting behind the curtain saying, we're going to do this, we're going to go to do that. That's why you have position coaches. They know their guys better than anyone on the field. As a staff, you come up with a game plan. When it comes to Sunday, you spend all day going through the game plan situation and stuff, and you talk about that with the staff. We had a defensive head coach last year, so he would have been involved in the game planning. When I was at New England, we had a defensive head coach, Bill Belichick, and he was involved in the game planning. Boyer said, we're trying to pre-call before every series. On the first 3rd and 2, it's going to be this. But sometimes you don't even get to that situation. You told them you were pre-calling, and then a coordinator, you have to make a decision. You're going to play this. When you come to the sideline, we're all going to look. That was good. This was not good. This is a problem play we need to fix, and we try to pre-call the next series as well. Coaches will give suggestion. This will be good, or you can come back to that. So essentially what he's saying in my long rambling of 3 paragraphs is he called the plays, right? There was a predetermined scheme. There was a predetermined game plan going into certain games as a defense, right? That essentially, and I talked about that with Mike McDaniel bringing in all these guys, right? Bringing in the OC and how he works with the run game really well and works with the tight end, bringing in John Embry, bringing in Wes Welker, who's also going to help with the pass game coordinator, Darrell Bevell, pass game coordinator. Studsville is staying on run game coordinator. They all come together. They're going to talk game plan. This is what their defense lets up a lot. We should focus on this, focus on that, yada, yada, bing, bang, bing. And then Mike McDaniel's going to call the plays. Same thing happened on defense last year. Hey, this offense likes to focus on this. We should really try to take that away. And then, hey, secondary, what is their strength that can, blah, blah, blah. Linebackers, do you think... Linebacker coach, do you think that they can handle this load if we go with this scheme? Defensive front, okay, this is the game plan. And like he said, it'll be 3rd and 2, you're going to call this play up. 3rd and 2 never happened. Now me as a defensive coordinator, or Josh Boyer as a defensive coordinator, he has to pick the right plays. And then when the series is over, you go to the sideline. Well, this worked, this didn't work. Let's change it up. Let's go more man in this. So essentially what he's saying is there wasn't, he was calling the plays, but it's not he's in charge of everything. He is putting the game plan together. He is doing, it was everybody on defense. Offense, on the other hand, I don't think we'll ever know. Because, again, he talked about the fact that Brian Flores is a defensive coach. Bill Belichick is a defensive coach. They were in on the defensive game plan. There was nobody in on the offensive game plan, and it was apparent. So I just felt that was interesting when talking about that. Let's jump to Patrick Surtain and Sam Madison, and then we'll go more offense. Because the defense wasn't a problem, really, last year, once they fixed the stuff. The thing that I want to talk about the most about Sam Madison and Patrick Surtain is essentially how they came about becoming, working together. So essentially, Sam Madison talks a lot about how this team is good. They're not done. There's still a lot of hard work. I don't work like that, he says. There's a lot of work involved, a lot of studying and coaching. We have a good group back there with Byron, Javon Holland. We have guys that are really good, really, really good players. Our job is to enhance that so that we can have a dominant defense each and every week. I love that he said a dominant defense. Makes me so happy. Our job is to teach these guys, get them involved, to go out there and do their thing the very best on Sundays. Love it. You don't rest on your laurels. But when it talks about the reunion with him and Sam Madison, so essentially, Patrick Surtain, so essentially Sam Madison was out, I think he said he was at an event for his daughter. And Patrick Surtain was getting ready. Let me make sure I get my facts straight on this. Patrick Surtain, I think, was getting ready meanwhile, Surtain was getting ready to go to Baptist Health Training Complex for his interview after reaching out to the Dolphins and sending a resume following the head coach change. So on the day he signed his contract to join the Miami Dolphins, Madison went to see his daughter play lacrosse at St. Thomas Aquinas before watching his 11-year-old son play the same sport. In that process, Patrick Surtain sent his resume to the Miami Dolphins. He was interested with the new coach change to join the Dolphins coaching staff, and they agreed and they hired him. They said accepting an offer from the Dolphins was a no-brainer from Patrick Surtain. It's just amazing. Sam Madison said, "Oh man, he's a wealth of knowledge." Now listen, he's an almanac. I don't care. You could sit here and you can ask him something about track. You can ask him something about basketball, hockey, tennis, and he'll just go right out there. And that's the way he's been since 1998. The first time I met him, he could just sit down and run stuff down. And so that's essentially how he got hired is, they brought in Madison because of what he's done with Kansas City, worked with Kansas City for 3 years. But Patrick Surtain gave in his resume to join the Miami Dolphins. So I thought that was incredibly interesting. Now we're going to jump to the offensive side of the ball. And we're going to talk about Darrell Bevell, who is the quarterback's coach and the pass game coordinator, I guess you can call it. And we're going to see what he has to say. Mike McDaniel's effort will be aimed by quarterback coach and passing game coordinator Darrell Bevell, who met with the media on Wednesday for the first time since taking the job. Bevell said that the offense is going to be built and tailored to Tua Tagovailoa because that works better than trying to fit the round peg in a square hole. And we know all about that with the 2020 offense of the Miami Dolphins. Bevell praised Tua Tagovailoa's accuracy. It just says Tagovailoa, but it's hard for me not to say his entire name. Not his entire name. Accuracy, and said that he liked watching Tua's make off schedule plays while watching tape of the quarterback. But he said he's waiting to see Tua up close before making an assessment about Tua's arm strength, which I found very interesting that he said that. I think it's important for me, this is what he had to say, for me to be able to see the ball coming out of his hand in person. I could see it on tape. I could see him making some of the throws. There are questions that I have, but I want to see the ball come out of his hand in person. That's the one thing for me. Always on tape, it's hard to tell the true velocity. So I want to get him out there on the grass and see exactly what it looks like. From what I've seen, will definitely be able to have high success from him being able to throw the football. He can make many of the throws that we're going to ask him to do, and the ones that he can't, then we're going to do something different. Question about Tua's ability to be a quarterback to the Dolphins are going to continue to be asked throughout the offseason. The answer will continue, blah, blah, blah. And that's the end of the article. I'm interested to see what his assessment of Tua is because he's worked with some very good quarterbacks in Aaron Rodgers, Brett Favre, Russell Wilson. So I'm very interested to see what he says. And I'm very interested to see if, how do I phrase this and not rub people the wrong way? I'm interested to see what him and Mike McDaniel can see, right? Because what they watch on tape, if they see him on the field and they like what they see, that's a plus. If they see him on the field and they have, reservation and are apprehensive about the way he feels, will that change certain things? I'm very interested to see how it goes, that first OTAs, which I think is after free agency. Or I don't think it's after, I think it's before the draft. I know they have some type of OTA. I think it's after the draft. Very interested to see how that goes. But I'm very happy with him as our quarterback's coach because he's done a lot in the NFL. So I trust his process and I trust his thought process in that. We're going to jump to John Embry, the tight end coach. They talk about the fact that Mike Gesicki and about Durham Smythe and all that stuff. Both are impending free agents. Hopefully the guys are here next season, he says. One is in New Jersey, about to get married, Mike Gesicki. The other was golfing down in Houston Texans. Both are doing well. Had great conversations with them. They're both excited about what's on the horizon. We'll see if it's here or wherever. We understand it's a business. They seem like very nice guys, he says. He says, during the combine, I'll put some of my stuff on my iPad and look at guys and start making my evaluations and see where I can help them and how I can fit what they do in our scheme. Hopefully the guys are here. If they're here, we'll coach them. If they're not, we'll coach whoever is here. This stat I thought was very interesting, right? They said Gesicki was asked to pass block only 11 times all last season, and he was asked to run block 234 times, which was the 34th most of all tight ends. He had 828 snaps, which means 234 times he was asked to block was about 27% of the time he was asked to block. So I thought that was really interesting. While not speaking about Gesicki or anyone in particular, Embry said blocking is important for tight ends in this system. Our system is based off of a zone, outside zone. So get on the edge, get the corner, so to speak. It's starting with the tight end. The tight end blocking is an integral part of our offense. I found that very interesting. He reiterated essentially the whole run blocking. Will it be a problem? I don't know. I would like to see Mike Gesicki come back for the right contract. We'll see if it happens. But it's going to be very interesting, very, very interesting there, because John Embry is a very good tight end coach, and he could definitely help Gesicki out if he stays on the team. Then they new offensive coordinator Frank Smith, who was a run game, an offensive line coach for the Chargers, who really did help out their offense. What does he envision his role being? Whatever Mike needs me to do, assisting with the overall position and implement of the offense, said Smith, who has never coached with Mike McDaniel, but he's known him for several years. I thought it was very interesting. You're the conduit for the staff, understanding what we want to execute in this offense, because essentially Mike McDaniel is the offensive coordinator. He's going to be calling the plays. He already said he will. So essentially Frank Smith is the assistant offense coordinator, or essentially we have two offense coordinators again. Quarterback coach Darrell Bevell has been calling plays for 15 years. John Embry and Wes Welker have been with Mike in San Francisco. Running back coach Eric Studeville has been in the similar system in Denver. It's been in similar situations in Chicago. I've been in similar situations in Chicago. All of us together, assisting and coming together with what's best for the players. We're able to acquire this offseason and draft, help the guys that were here master what they do well. I think it's very interesting that he talked about first people they're going to bring in. Again, I got that video. I think that video is going to come out next week because we're getting very, very, very close to the start of free agency. Smith incidentally said he's super excited to work with Tua Tagovailoa. Coming in, I can say I didn't know a whole lot about Tua's game. As I've been here and you're studying him as a player, super excited. Extremely accurate passer. His patience with things and what we're going to be able to do is going to be really, really cool. More and more tape, you get more and more excited. This is going to be really, really cool to have him as a quarterback for us. So he's very excited to work with Tua. Mike McDaniel is very excited to work with Tua. They're all saying very good things. I'm hoping Tua can take that huge step to the next level because that's what the Dolphins need. The Dolphins need Tua to take that step. And then finally, we're going to talk about the offensive line coach, Matt Applebaum. He says, essentially, I've been told that the Dolphins have one of the worst offensive lines in the NFL. He said, but he already knows this. A lot of things need to get better. I haven't studied the guys where I can say if he improves on this thing, this one thing, then I'm not on that level right now with these guys. Everything needs to get better. We need to find a way to put the 5 best guys out there to execute our scheme and have success running the ball, protecting the quarterback, and winning football games. He says, what needs to happen is clear. Executing is not easy. Essentially asked him why was Pierre, the old offensive line coach, retained. He says it starts with he's a phenomenal guy. This is a people business, and we've got to work with people on our staff very closely all day long. To be around quality people is a very underrated element. It starts with that. Next thing I want to say is the guy is a good football coach. I talked football with him, and I've been impressed by him. So there are some things, familiarity with the personnel, that certainly doesn't hurt, but he's a great guy, and I'm really looking forward to working with him. Yeah. I'm not saying he's not a great guy, but I think he was thrusted into a position as the offensive line coach that maybe he was not ready for. So I'm very interested to see what he can do, and I'm interested to see him get better in that aspect. He said, I wouldn't say we're texting every day, but there has been a relationship there. I would say when he got the job, there was optimism, but until I got called by him, I certainly didn't think that Applebaum definitely would be hired by the Dolphins. I'm very pleased to get the phone call. His number was programmed in, so from that time it came in, I was like, oh, let's go, essentially talking about being hired by the Miami Dolphins. This is a scheme where you have to try to go after your opponents consistently throughout the play. It's not the kind of thing where you can wall a guy off and the play is over for you. The ball can go a lot of places, and it happens later on in the play. So you really got to strain. And that is huge because, again, in this style of offense, the offensive line needs to attack. So what he's talking about in that last part is you can't just, and I noticed Austin Jackson did this a lot. You can't just, if you're an offensive lineman, block and then kind of just keep your guy where he is, and then just, okay, no one's getting past me. I have this area here. No one's getting past me. In this style of offense, there's a lot of moving pieces going on behind you. There's a lot of moving pieces going on in front of you. So if you're just okay with your little, however much space you're taking up and just keeping a wall in front of you, that defender's just going to run away from you. And if you're not attacking, and that's what he's talking about, being aggressive and attacking the plays and moving your defender and getting after it, they're going to make the tackles. They're going to get around you and all that stuff. So this is a very attacking style of offensive line. We saw it with the movement from Trent Williams. He was in fullback, and they moved him, and he plowed through, a couple defenders to help open up a lane for Raheem Mostert. Brain is not working today. So I'm very, essentially what I got from, and again, you could take all this with a grain of whatever you want to call it, because for now they're just talking. They're getting ready for free agency. They're getting ready to decide who they're going to re-sign, who they're going to cut, all that stuff. So they're watching tape. They're doing player assessment. That's all they're doing right now. So this is just a lot of talk. So that's what I'm getting right now. I'm getting more clarity on certain things. I'm getting more clarity on the scheme they're running, who's doing what, who's working with who. I'm also hearing that Sam Madison and Wes Welker is going to be a very big head-to-head, competition, which I'm very excited for. But that's what I'm getting right now. We're getting an understanding of, what John Embry is doing and what Josh Boyer's doing and what Sam Madison and Pat Surtain are doing, and what are Applebaum and his thought process on the offensive line. So it was telling. That's why I wanted to make this video and talk to you guys and tell you some of the things they were saying, especially Josh Boyer, especially how you can see day and night why the defense was working on some games and why the defense started to really take off after the Houston Texans game, and why the offense throughout the whole season was just sputtering. Because it seems like the defense was working together. You had a defensive head coach. You had him working with them, putting game plans together. It was, the offense isn't going to lose us the game, but the defense is going to try to win us the game. That's what I'm feeling from what Josh Boyer had to say. And you can kind of see it, especially during that stretch. Tua got you a lead of however many points, or you got his 2 touchdowns. It's 14-10, or you got his 21-11. Defense win the game for us. There's a few times where they asked Tua to win it for him. Either he couldn't or he did. Again, that Patriot game, I put that on Tua. Yes, Xavier Howard got him the ball, but there were still 3 minutes left. The Patriots still had 3 timeouts, and the Dolphins had the ball, and they're on 4. So he needed to advance the ball. So, yeah, I just find it very interesting. Comment below. Let me know what you think of some of the things that they said that really pop out into your mind. Let me know. I have so many videos planned for you guys. I think the next video I'm going to do is the Miami Dolphins fan reactions to the 2021 season. I have a lot of things I have to go through because this season was crazy, and I have a lot of funny ideas for that. And then I'm going to do the Q&A video. I got all your questions, and I'm going to talk about that. And then we're going to do the free agency. We're going to get into so much stuff. So if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button. We're getting closer to 32,000 now. You guys are killing it. Thank you, everyone who's sharing. Thank you, everyone who is putting it out there. Chris constantly, El Capitan, I just did a podcast with him. I did an episode with him last night. Constantly retweeting my episodes to all you guys who retweet them, put them on, Reddit and all that stuff. You're helping this grow. But on that, guys, I'll see you in the next video. But like usual, stay classy and fins up.